All right, everyone, I think we're ready to start this session. Welcome everyone to this B1 time task session. I'll just have to make you aware that this is being recorded and you're all in listen-only mode, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand or type a question in the chat box. I'll be presenting today with Morten Petersen, one of the lead developers of the B1 time task, and together we will go through this 40-minute session. Please take the next slide, Morten. So the agenda for today is a setup, and then how to create a task and register time, the billing, and then the reports, and then we'll go through the web client we developed. And under here we'll go through the requirements and a demonstration of this. And we'll end this session with a Q&A. So please go ahead and take the next slide, Morten. So requirements for running the B1 time task. There is only the two ones listed here. And then the first one is that you need to have a valid license of the B1 usability package. So the B1 up needs to be installed and you need to have a valid license in order for the B1 time task module to work. After you had, or your customer had a 20-day demo of the B1 time task, you will need a valid B1 time task for both the web client and for B1 time task to work in SAP. So with that being said, I'll hand the mic over to Morten, and he will do some show and tell about this B1 time task.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm going to start out introducing or talking about the philosophy of the B1 time task module because we have taken a very strict philosophy in regards to creating this module as we wanted to keep it simple and it should be easy to learn. We have not included lots of options. It can be tempting, but we want to try to keep it simple, so we try to keep everything easy to use. And billing is the key, so the most important thing in registering time is that you can generate some invoices that you can then send to your customer and get some money. So Time Task is a simple time registration tool for small businesses that do service-oriented work. And Time Task is not a competitor to the big project management tools like Marengo and Enterprise. So we have tried to keep Time Task simple and easy to use and not cover it with too many features. So the flow of working with B1 Time Task is that you plan something. In Time Task you plan what we call a task, and then you do some registrations, you do some work, and then you register it, and when you're done, you're at the end bill your customer for the work you have done. And our motto is no more, no less. We try to do these three simple steps, and when you're done, you will have some income from the customer. So let's have a look in SAP at how you get up and running and how you create your first task. So firstly, in this database I have B1 usability up and running, and I have a valid license for the B1 time task. But if your customer is new and want to try this module, you can activate it for 20 days for free by going into administration, add-ons, B1 usability package, the B1 usability package configuration, where you can access the B1 productivity package tab, and the B1 productivity package modules are the extra modules that you can buy to use together with the B1 usability package. And in this case I have already enabled the B1 time task, and if the customer does not have a license, you can request a demo license with a button placed around here. So after doing this, you need to restart the add-on. It will create some metadata, and then you're ready to show the functionality to your customer. So the first thing you need to do is you need to plan what do you want to do. and you do this using the B1 time task menu item down here, where you have the option to create a task. We have placed the most common features of B1 time task, the daily usage features down here. Under this menu item, there's also some configuration menu items in the administration. So if we open this task window, we are ready to actually plan a task so that we have something to do in the system. And everything you work on in B1 time task is logged on a task like this. And you can have as many tasks as you like, and the task can be linked directly to a business partner or based on a sales order line. So firstly, I'm going to show you how you can link it to a business partner. Alright, so as you can see, there's a lot of different fields in a task, and I'm going to go through each one of them and show you what it does. And then I'm going to firstly connect to a business partner, and then I'm going to show you how to connect to a sales order line afterwards. So we are going to create a task for an SAP installation. So we start out by giving the task a name. Next, we select the connection type business partner. We support the business partner and the sales order connection type here. And I'm going to select Nom Thompson as my business partner connection. Next, we can define some budget hours. How much time are we going to allocate to an SAP installation? In this case, I'm going to allocate 10 hours or 15 hours. And then I need to select the billing type. We support 3 different billing types. We support an hourly rate. So if you do 10 hours of work or 15 hours of work, then it's 15 hours times the item unit price that I'm going to define here afterwards. If you do a fixed price, then you specify a fixed price for the work and what currency it should be, and you also specify an item that you're going to use as a fixed priced item. You can also specify that it should be not billable. This is mostly used for internal work, if you're doing something in-house, or if you have a service agreement with a customer where some of the hours might not be billable. So we are going to go with this hourly rate, and selecting hourly rate or fixed price, then we also need to select an item. So I've created an hourly rate SAP setup, 1 hour. And it's just pulling the unit price over, and it also takes into account special prices for business partners and so on. Next up, we have the option to specify some transportation logging. We can specify if we should log transportation units, and if they should be billable at the same time. So if we try to take that it should be billable, then we also need to specify an item that we're going to use for the transportation. I've created one here called travel expense 1 kilometer, and the same for the time. I'm going to select that it should be not billable, and then I'm just going to select the item we're going to use. The next thing is the the billing format. The billing format is used to specify how the invoice that you're going to send out to your customer is going to look. If you select specification, let's say that 10 employees logged 10 hours on this task and wrote 10 different comments doing so. If you select specification, then you're going to get an AR invoice with 10 lines with 10 different comments. If you select summarize, then you're going to get 1 line with all the 10 comments summarized in. So it's just about how the AI invoice look when the customer gets it. So let's just go with the specification here. Then you can give a description. This is only for management. Up here you can specify a date and an expected billing date. They are also just for management, so that you can know when did I create the task and when do I expect it to be completed. The next is the task type. These can be found in the configuration windows, and it's also just for management, it's just categorization of the task. So in this case, we're doing an SAP installation. The projects are pulled from SAP, so I can specify that I would like to use a project and that I would like to use a profit center. The internal and external remarks are just defaults. If you know that your end user is always going to write a specific thing in here, you can just set it as a default. The task status has influence on how the task, if you can register on the task, if it's open and so on. And we have some predefined values for this. You can also specify new ones. But if I, for example, select that it is closed, well, then I'm not able to register time on the task anymore. If I specify that it's open, not ready for billing, you can see down here it changed to red and says the task will not be included in the billing process. So let's just leave it open so that I can include it in the billing process later. The final step is the employees, where if you specify an employee down here, then you restrict the task to the employee that you have specified. You can always specify more employees that should be allowed to register time on the task, and by default, if you do not specify any employees, then every employee in your system is able to register time. So you can basically here restrict the task to specific employees that you want to work on the task. And you can also specify how much time each employee should be allocated for this task. So if we just try to add this as it is now, we have created our first task and we are now able to register time on this task. Before we start the time illustration, I'm just going to show you how you can link a sales order instead of using a business partner as the connection type. So in some cases you might want to say that an SAP installation consists of underlying steps. For example, you need some server setup, you need some software installation, you need some data conversion. You could do this manually by creating multiple tasks, but it might give you some increased management. So if you have a scenario like this, we have added the option to create tasks based on sales order lines. So I have prepared a sales order already, just a normal sales order with a few lines on it. We have some installation of a server, some SAP setup, some data conversion, and we have some training. I can then right click on a line and say I would like to create a task using this line, and it will just open up the window, fill out some predefined data taken from the sales order, and then I need to specify the billing type again down here. If I select hourly rate, it's just going to pull out over the item from the sales order. And if I select the fixed price, it's just going to show me the fixed price taken from the sales order. In this case, the expected billing date here is pulled over from the sales order, and the delivery date on the sales order actually impacts the system in regards to billing, as you will be unable to bill the work done if the delivery date is in the future when you're doing the billing. So only when you have actually passed the delivery date, you will be able to actually bill the registrations that have been done. You also had the option to right click here and say I would like to actually do multi lines or multitasks. So it will open up a new window where I can select the ones I would like to include, and then I can select all the different fields on the task directly from here. So we're going to do some fixed priced work here. And it's an SAP installation. And let's go with that. So I'm going to create 4 tasks now. And the way the system works is that now the sales order lines are actually linked to a task ID. So I can right click here again and I can say I would like to remove the link or I would like to go to the task. So that's basically how it works. We link a sales order line to a specific task. Alright. So now we have planned some work, we have created some tasks, then we also need to do some registrations. And we have two different ways of doing registrations. We have what we call a worksheet, which is a week overview, and then we have the time registration, which is the simple registration window, when you just need to register some time if a customer calls or something like that. So the time registration window is where you actually do the registrations. So firstly you need to select a customer, and then you need to select that task that you're going to work on. I'm going to do some SAP installation. Then I need to specify the date, and then I need to specify how much time did I use. And the fields down here are shown dynamically based on what I have selected in the task. So as you can see in the task, I selected that it should be billable, the things I'm doing, that the transportation should be billable, and that the transportation should be logged, that the transportation time should be logged, but it shouldn't be billable, so I'm not giving the option to log it as billable. So let's say that I used 5 hours on doing the SAP installation, and I used 3 gallons of gas getting out there, and I used 45 minutes. And I set up, in this case, the external remark is what is going to be shown on the invoice sent to the customer, and the internal remark is only shown to the management internally. So this is where I write if something went wrong or something else that you don't want the customer to actually see. In this case, everything just went smooth. So now I have actually added my first time registration. And if we just switch to it, you can see that it now says approved in the header. And we have an approval system in B1 Time Task. Right now I have set up the system to automatically approve all the registrations I'm doing. But if I disable this option, then I need to manually approve each registration. And if a registration is unapproved, then I'm not able to actually bill it. So just for the case, you can revert the approval like this, and you can actually approve the registration again. And in systems where automatic approval is not enabled, then you need to manually approve the task or the registrations, unless if you do not, they're not going to show up in the billing wizard. So, and when a registration is built, then it will go into a closed state where you cannot edit it anymore. But until it's actually built, then you're able to edit it. Alright. The next thing is the worksheet. It can also be used for time registration, but it's also used to give your employees an overview of what they have done in the week and what they have done in the previous weeks. So the worksheet week is actually a weekly overview of what you have registered in the system. So if we have a look at it, we have the option to navigate to previous weeks. We have the option to register some new time spent, and then we have this overview down here, where if I press on something I have done some time registration on, then I'm showing going to get the internal and external remarks shown down here. Alright. So what you actually see here is that if it's in green, then I have approved the day, and the rest of the days aren't approved yet because I haven't created any registrations. If I wanted to revert the approval, I could do it, both for a day and for the week, and I could also approve the entire week if I wanted to do so. I'm also able to make new registrations from up here, and then we have something called a favorite system up here, where I can create favorites that I'm using a lot. If I have a specific customer that calls in a lot, then I'm able to create favorites that will pre-fill the fields based on my selection, and I can manage the favorites using this system where I can just add a line to the matrix and then I have a new favorite. It's possible to jump directly to a registration by just double clicking on it. You see that were my registration right here. Just going to lower this. This, and then you can see that I have something called the difference. In the system, it's possible to set up how many hours you expect your employees to actually work each week, and then the system will calculate the difference between what work have they actually done today and how much were they expected to do, and then you can see the sum for the entire week out here. So I need to do some more work this week to actually reach my goal. I can also create a new registration by just double clicking on an empty field. It will open up the window and I'm ready to register some time. So that's the two ways of doing time registration within SAP. And when I have done some time registration, then I'm of course able to bill the customer for the work I have done. So let's just register some more time here so that we have something to bill the customer with. So the billing part is actually essential for your business. As you know, you need to get some money, and doing so in time task is actually quite simple. We have a billing option called a billing wizard, where you just need to define a from date and to date. What interval would you like to bill in? And then we have some filters that you can use to specify I would only like to show specific customers and so on. But if we do a search here, it's going to show me that the system would like to generate one AI invoice for Nom Thompson and the total of it. And if I click on the line, I can see that what this AI invoice actually consists of. So we have the option to create an invoice, but we also have an option to create a delivery instead if that matches your business scenario. And you can also create drafts if you would like to view them before they're actually added to the system. You have the option to include and exclude and remove permanently from the billing wizards. And you have the option to modify the quantity. You can change the remarks that are going to be shown to the customer. And then you can see the internal remarks that the employees made. So if you're in doubt about anything in the billing wizard, well, you can look at the internal remark, or you can go to the task and get an overview of who actually did the work. But I'm just going to include this, and then I'm going to press the create documents, and the system is going to create one AI invoice for me. And it's going to open up the document printing, where we have integration with the B1 print delivery module, so that I can just create an email directly from here. And then I'm ready to send an email to my customer and get some money. And as we selected that we would like to get a specification on the AI invoice, you can see that we have all these different lines, and the customer is actually ready to be billed. So quite simple to get up and running. So now we are able to create a task, we're able to register some time, and we are ready to bill the customer. So we basically have a pretty good system for doing service-oriented work. In the system we have also included a few reports, and if we just have a quick look at them, we have these two, the task overview, the registration overview, which are mostly for management. They list all the tasks in the system, and then they show the allocated hours, the recorded hours, and so on. and profit centers and so on, and I'm able to filter using all these different filters up here. We also have the registration overview that lists all the registration done, and again we have different filters that you can use to look at a specific employee. You can see here how many hours were logged, how many of those were billable, and so on, so that you can keep track of how well each employee is doing in regards to billable hours and so on. Then we have basically the same reports just for the employees, where they can see the tasks that they are able to actually log time on, and they can see the registrations that they have made in the system. All right, so that's basically what we have in SAP. And we have some additional configuration where you can set up most of the things that I have shown you. But for now, I'm just going to leave SAP and then I'm going to talk a bit about our web client. So the web client we have built is a homepage that allows you to register time online using an iPhone, iPad, PC, Android device, and so on. And it's a simple and easy to use web interface, and I'm going to give you a demo of it, but first let's just look at how you actually get up and running if you're interested in trying the web client. So to get the web client online, you need to install our server components. You need to register at our service portal using the B1 Time menu item in the service portal login area. And then you need to define some of the data as shown in the server components. And then you can visit b1time.com / a domain you selected when you created the customer entry here on the service portal. When you have done this, you should be up and running and your customer is actually ready to start registering time. To actually log into the system, the customer just needs to set up the users using the employee master data. In time task, the tasks or the registrations are linked to an employee and not to an SAP login, so you don't need to have the web users as SAP users, so they are just employees instead. So let's have a demo. Right now I'm logged in at my local machine. I'm logged into the same database that we were just in. And as you can see, it's a quite simple interface. We have support for multi-language. Right now we support English, Danish and Norwegian. If you have a different language you would like to use, then we are able to translate it with your help, of course. So let's just jump into it. The new registrations here is actually what was shown as the simple registration view. I have my favorites, and then I'm able to actually just go ahead and build some and register some time on a customer. So I would like to register some time on Norm Thompson, and I would like to do it on the SAP installation task here. Then I'm able to specify dates, and I have the fields as in SAP. I can just register some time. And I can submit the registration. And that's it. I have added a new registration and it's in real time. So when I create a registration, then it's immediately shown here in SAP as well. I can of course edit existing registrations. In this case I had 2 registrations on Nom Thompson. So I'm able to edit the registration, I'm also able to remove it, and I'm able to unapprove it if I wanted to, and I could also revert the approval directly from here. So we also have the week view option, where I'm shown the entire week. Again, I'm able to edit the existing registrations, and I'm able to see what have I done in the past weeks, and I'm able to create new registrations, and I have the option to revert approvals on the days. We have also included the reports, my tasks, and the my registrations report. And then we have some administration here, where we have some cultural settings. We can specify the separators, the 1000 separators, the first day of the week, Monday or Sunday, and then you can specify the date format. So we also able to do internalization from here. So the web view actually provides everything the employee needs to register time, and just by using the web view, you are able to send out employees in the field that are able to register time, and you don't need to have SAP users for this. It uses the normal employees instead. All right. The time task module is of course also fully integrated with the B1 usability package. So I'm able to create the normal function buttons, validations. I'm also able to use the make items read only module. And on this window we have some things that are mandatory by default, but you're also able to use the mandatory fields on this window so that you can create your own validations using either the B1 validation system or the mandatory fields. And if you're missing something in the default reports we have created, then the data is just stored in normal SAP tables, so it should be quite simple to actually do custom reports using Crystal or the SQL report. So just to show you, I'm just going to create a function button that's going to show using a SQL report all the time spent on travel in the system. Going to give it a title, and then we need to write some SQL, and the data is just stored quite simple, so I can just get a doc entry. It's a registration. I can get the creation date, and then I can get the time used on travel. First I'm just selecting the task, and then I'm selecting the time used on travel. And that's stored in the table called time break. So there you go. I have just created a very simple report. I can then format it a bit so that it looks a bit nicer. Just going to sum the value of the transportation time using the wizard here. I would like the column 2, 3, 4 to be a sum column. And if I wanted to, I could also make a golden arrow from the doc entry and use the macro system to open the registration window and select the registration. But for now, I'm just going to go with a sum. Like this. So it's fully integrated with the B1 UP. You can use the B1 print delivery for emailing out their invoices, and you're able to plan some work, you're able to do some registrations, and you're able to bill the customer, and your employees are also able to do so in the field using the web client. So if anyone have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Else, I think I'll hand over the word to Matt again, and he can have the last slide here.
Yeah. So this is just a slide where you can get more information. If you have any questions after this presentation, you're always very welcome to contact sales@boyum-it.com. And as always, you get a 20-day free trial of the module. So please go to license.boyum-it.com/b1up. And we have a lot of great e-learning at the service portal, service.boyum-it.com. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get recent updates where we post all of our videos. So if there's no questions, I think we're going to end this session. Thank you very much for attending.